point about rootstocks. I have a plant over here which is absolute obvious microcitrus. We can see it with the branches over here and the small leaves and the thorny twigs, which is all microcitrus, except there are some leaves which don't really look like microcitrus. I will get a little bit closer that we can inspect that a little bit. So now we can see those leaves. They don't look microcitrus. As I move that twig, that is microcitrus. We can see it truly. The small leaves with dense thorns and all that with the short internodes, even the new sprout, short internodes, thorns, everything. And then we have that part of the tree which has large typical citrus leaves, and even the distinct smell of the etherical oils are different as that of microcitrus. This is a rootstock sprout. Some sprouts are called suckers, as they suck away the power and nutrients from the varieties which is grafted onto a rootstock, and usually the graft is done with a scion. And that scion over here is microcitrus, as we said above, and the rootstock we see down here, that part down here, that's the rootstock. And that rootstock we will see shortly in close is Citrus falkameriana. So the tree absolutely is a thing of being two parts. We have one part over here. This is the rootstock from the ground up to that point, and here starts the grafted scion variety, which is microcitrus, as we can see over here. So if we have an impact by disease, by drought, by freezes, the variety on top can die back. Some people then are very happy if the rootstock starts to sprout again. But unfortunately, this isn't the same varieties as we had, because we can see it because of the different leaves. This is microcitrus, and this is something really different. Here we would have those small, like little banana-shaped fruits with those tiny balls inside, which we resemble to citrus caviar, which is of course a part of the citrus genus. And below there, that one, this will surely more resemble to a lemon, which is falkameriana. This is Citrus falkameriana, a common type rootstock. So we will get an absolute different fruit if we will let that grow, and sometimes starting flowers and bears fruit. So if you have a rootstock sprout like that one, it will be a completely different fruit as the main variety on top. So yeah, citrus is a two-parted plant if grafted, and usually citrus is grafted. So we'll have a closer look to the graft union over here and see what is where we can see the difference, because we can see it in the rind texture, and we can see it also not only in the leaves, which are different from the top varieties to the rootstock, but also from the color and the pattern of the bark on the rootstock and the varieties grafted onto. And so we should always be aware that most of our trees are grafted, and so all what sprouts below the graft union will be a complete different plant than what we have on top over here. And this is important to know and important to understand, that if we get a problem and the plant dies back to the graft union, we usually might get, if the rootstock sprouts a completely different plant. We cannot say we can grow it back. Sometimes this is impossible because the grafted variety just died, and so only the rootstock started to grow. And with a growing rootstock, sorry, that isn't what you once bought, what you once had. This is something different. So if here the top variety, here a microcitrus, will die back, I will get a citrus volkameriana instead. And so no more Australian finger limes, more Volkamer lemons. That's absolutely the thing. So never let the tree suffer that badly that your canopy completely dies back, and you have to depend that something from the stem will grow back, because usually the rootstock will take over, and so you will lose what you once had. So let's have a look to the graft union. Well, as promised, now the close-up to the graft union. We can see here this is the varieties, which is truly microcitrus, and over here we have a rootstock sprout, which is Citrus volkameriana. We can see it different leaves compared to the microcitrus one. We can see those cannot differ more than here shown. So we have a variety sprout and we have a rootstock sprout. We have truly two plants in one plant because of grafting. The graft union is pretty obvious, as we can see now in that close-up. As you can see from the rind, texture and color, this lighter one, this lighter color here over here is the microcitrus varieties. We can see it over here. And the darker color with a different rind bark pattern is absolutely Citrus volkameriana. So we have the graft union absolutely visible, which is over here, and this over here is the graft union. This plant was grafted maybe by behind the bark grafting, or because of some other methods of grafting. So the plant is not budded, it is grafted, and so there is a graft union absolutely obvious because of that scar and the different texture and color of rootstock and scion varieties. And if we turn the tree around again, we can see that the scar is moving all about here, and we can see that sprout comes from the top part and that comes from the low part. So this is a rootstock graft, and this is truly a scion shot. We can manage and keep this, or we need to abandon that one. And this is because those suckers take the energy from the scion away. So what if the plant had died back? If the plant had died back and all of the top isn't growing anymore, we need to depend on that such sprouts from above the graft union will regrow and so form a new canopy. We cannot depend on sprouts coming below the graft union, because this is absolutely obvious a different varieties, a different type of plant. And again, you can see it, this is the graft union over here, and this is why we have to depend on sprouts from atop the graft union and not from below the graft union, because if it's below, it will be rootstock, and rootstock usually is growing like a seedling, which will have a delayed maturity, and so no flowers and no fruits. And if flowers and fruits, they will absolutely be different from that what originally will be coming from the bulb plant. So take care in caretaking that all above the graft union or bud union won't die back. And if it did, be sure that you force only those sprouts coming from atop the graft union and not below. If only sprouts from below the graft union will appear, your variety had died off. There is no cure, no other possibility. You only can then grow rootstock, which is a seedling and a different variety. So you have to discard that plant or maybe regraft it later. But you cannot depend that the ones had fruit will reappear as you get a different varieties. So we will mark that graft union a little bit with color that you can see where the graft union really was. Okay, now we took a little bit of color and marked the graft union. We can see the red line over here. This is the graft union. It's marked all the way around, so we can follow the red line, which is now here, going around and then going up here, and we can see it's above that shot over here, comes around that one. We can move it a little bit so we can see that the line comes over here and goes over there, and we can see that shot is absolutely above that red line. So this is scion varieties and this is rootstock varieties. So we have two different plants, which is by the graft union truly visible, and this is the red line marks where those two plants have united and now grow together. And now again, look, color and texture compared to rootstock, color and texture. And again, red line, bud union, graft union, two plants, one forming rootstock, one forming trunk, fruits and varieties. Sometimes that graft union can be higher, so the rootstock forms a little bit of a trunk or a stem and is not short as that one. But sometimes the plants can also be grafted much lower, and because of that low graft, those plants will be also grafted and have a bud union much more closer to the ground. So watch out for the graft union. And only what grows above the graft union is your variety you once bought. If it dies back and only sprouts from the rootstock, you only grow a seedling of the rootstock varieties. Hope now this clarifies a little bit of two-part plants.